thought it was a great debate. There's certainly large philosophical differences between myself and Carol Shea Porter. I mean, she wants to raise taxes. I mean, that's pretty clear. She's voted for tax hikes many times. She's presided over the largest spending deficit in our nation's history. The economy has tanked, and she still wants to raise taxes. This Congress, her Congress, has done nothing for health care reform and nothing on producing more energy. So, you know, I think that as we get through the last 3 weeks here, people are going to see that there's one person that can bring common sense back to our nation's capital. And I'm looking forward to continuing to convince New Hampshire voters of exactly that.
I just spoke with the Congresswoman. She said that she did not raise, or she did not vote to raise taxes. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Wrong, wrong, wrong. I mean, she keeps talking about the budget votes. She voted specifically against extending those tax cuts that I voted for. You know what that means? The largest tax increase in our nation's history. I can't believe she thinks she didn't vote against tax hikes in the energy bills. She did. She voted for a tax hike in the farm bill. Again, she did. She voted for tax hikes in health care bills. She voted for tax hikes in other bills involving the alternative minimum tax. I mean, she has voted for the largest tax increase in our nation's history and about $400 billion of other tax increases. I mean, if you believe it long enough that you didn't do it, maybe that makes you think you didn't do it. But you know what? People know not what she says here, it's what she does in Washington.
And now, so you say she did, and she says she didn't. Who do we believe?
Look at the roll calls. It's pretty easy. That's how she's voted. She has voted time and time again for budgets that will not make those tax cuts permanent. That's number one. Number two, she had several opportunities on the marriage penalty. I keep talking about that because that's middle-class voters. That's working Americans. She voted, you know, against extending the elimination of the marriage penalty several times. She voted against keeping the child tax credit at $1,000, which means, you know, having kids and being married is a taxable offense. These are all roll call votes that she's voted for. As I said, if you repeat it long enough, you know, people will believe it. But unfortunately in New Hampshire, people pay attention to the details. And the details are involved in all of those roll calls that she's voted time and time again to raise our taxes.
2 years ago, you were unseated by Carol Shea Porter. Will you be the last man standing on November 4th?
I'm very optimistic about
or the last candidate standing, we should say.
Where this race is. People are really struggling in our country. They don't want to send somebody back to Washington that's going to raise their taxes. They want somebody who's going to fight for health care reform without having the government take over our health care. I mean, that's Carol Shea Porter's answer to everything. But you know what? It's going to mean long waits, take a number, get in line to get health care. That's what's happened in Canada. And they really want somebody who's going to deal with the fact that we have got to produce more energy to put gas in our cars and oil in our furnaces. She keeps saying she's voted for drilling. What she's voted for is drilling where there's no oil. That's not an energy policy. That is not an energy policy that's right for America.
I asked the same question to her, and I'll ask it to you. She said that you couldn't go back, you couldn't go to the past, meaning re-electing you. What is your message to her?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't go back to the past. Don't go back to the past 2 years where the economy has tanked, where unemployment has gone through the roof. 159,000 Americans just lost their jobs. Don't go back to the largest spending increases in history, the largest budget deficit in history, over $1 trillion of debt, all on Carol Shea Porter's watch. Don't go back to that. Don't go back to destroying the middle class. It's pretty obvious. I mean, you listen to the two of us, working Americans and the middle class cannot afford Carol Shea Porter because her answer to whatever it is that she thinks ails our country, having taxpayers, you and me, and everybody else in our great state and our great country bail out the government. That's not what's right for America.
And what's your message to Ms. Porter?
Well, my message is, you know, let's keep debating, because the more we debate, the more people are going to come over to my side.
Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Jebra.
Thank you very much.